Salutations, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with another casted game of Lines of Battle, and this one actually got sent to me by a gentleman named Lol Ye Mo Ye, or Lol Ye Mo Ye. I'm gonna go with Lol, but he sent me a very nice email asking me to take a look at this replay, analyze what both players did right, and maybe some things that the players could have done better, which I found kind of rich, because when I looked up their elos, they were both higher than me. So take all of this feedback I'm about to give with a massive grain of salt. But yeah, I love getting those DMs, and I always love taking a look at games that I'm specifically requested to look at. So Lol, thank you so much, man. I really do appreciate it, and thank you for being so nice in your email as well. But with all that said, let's dive into the armies here. So we're on our snow map, and I love the way the gold pops out on the white rather than the usual green, which is why I chose to go away from the standard red and blue. It doesn't make a difference, but I don't know. I feel like varying the colors kind of is a nice way to mix it up. But on Lol's right flank, he does have 3 dragoons, 2 hussars. He's got a nice little line of skirmishers out in the front, I think a total of 8. And then he's got the mirror image of his cavalry on the left flank as well. Good cavalry force. I usually go heavier into hussars than dragoons. But I mean, dragoons, they're a nice kind of middleman cavalry unit. I don't know where I would tier them. By the way, that unit tier list is on the way. Don't worry about it. But decent, very, very decent. And then let's see, he's got 5, followed by, okay, so 11 here, 15, 19 line infantry. And yeah, I keep going back and forth on which is the meta. And maybe you guys can let me know in the comments below, because you're going to see from the other players' army where there's this contrast where a lot of players are going with just straight line infantry spam. And a lot of other players are choosing to keep a variety of units. You know, they throw in guards or grenadiers or light infantry or whatever, usually not militia. But I can't tell which one is better. So for those of you that have played a lot of games, maybe you've played both styles, let me know. Is it better to spam just the regular core infantry, or is going with that variety, having multiple tools, is that the better option? Can't wait to hear your guys' feedback in the comments. But meanwhile, if we take a look at the rest of the army here for Lol, his artillery, we have 2 6-pounders in the center, and then we have 2 8-pounders on the respective flanks. I like the general layout here for an open battlefield. He's nice and concentrated, but also taking up quite a bit of territory. I would say with his army, he's definitely going to want to be the more aggressive one. And if he can somehow get his army set up along this tree line, controlling the neutral objective, I think that could be really good for him, especially if he's able to get these skirmishers into some of these really nice wooded pockets and kind of force the black player onto the back foot. Rather than just letting black set up here with his artillery on the hill. I think that'll be a really bad spot for orange to be in, because he'll be completely in the open and there'll be overarching fire and cover for the enemy skirmishers. And that's not a situation you want to be in. But speaking of black, let's take a look at his army. This guy's name is Prussian, which is very apt given the Prussian flag, and also the reason why I made him the black color. And he's got a ton of cool skins here, but the one thing about skins is it does make it a little bit hard for me to identify what units are which. I'm not like all down with the skins yet. So let me take a look here. It looks like line infantry, line infantry, line infantry, line. So 8 line infantry here. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guards, I believe. Yeah, okay, so he's got 8 line infantry, 6 guard infantry, which is really bold. That's a lot of guards. Hopefully they can be utilized well. And then he's got 4 lights up front with his skirmishers. I really like that. I've been seeing multiple players mix in lights and skirmishers just to give their front force a little bit more backbone and not be so easily rolled over by other infantry or light cavalry. So I think mixing in a couple of these guys, it really does give that pushing force more presence. And then in the back, he's got 2 curs, 4 goons. Okay, so he's got a smaller, more elite cavalry force, so it's going to be 6 cav versus 10 cav. And then he's got slightly fewer skirmishers. He's got two 12-pounders, so he's brought in the biggest guns he can, and then followed by two 6-pounders. So again, a smaller, more elite corps versus a larger, more basic core. And again, I'm struggling to figure out which one is the go-to if you just want to win games. So please let me know in the comments below. Let that be the main discussion as we dive into this game. Here we go. Okay. So black doing the very obvious thing, taking the southern hill, which I like. Okay, Lol is pushing forward fairly aggressively with his skirmishers, even putting his skirmishers into the run mode, but he's not going to be able to make it to the trees. I really like the move he made here, the feint, trying to catch some of these skirmishers. However, I think if this engagement had happened, he would have been caught by the curs and the goons. So I think it almost is a blessing that these skirmishers are going to make it to the trees, because I think this would have led to a wider engagement that Lol would have ultimately lost. And it's okay to give up some good ground at the sake of not sacrificing units early. So I like this probe, but it doesn't look like it's going to be able to accomplish much. And now we see Lol kind of caught in that awkward position where his enemy is going to have the higher ground, the better ground, and he's really just going to have to rely on his numbers. And man, he can't really rely on artillery superiority. He does have superior skirmishers and he has more numerous cav. But I mean, yeah, Prussian looks to be putting himself in a really nice defensive position here. So whether Lol can crack the nut or not is going to be, I think, the main kind of, junction of how this battle is going to turn out. Okay, so we see probes by both cavalries. Lol pushing on the left, getting some fire for his trouble. Not great. Infantry out on the ice to defend from a cavalry charge. A lot of units getting hit here in the center, and I think this is probably the first big mistake Lol made, was that clump up there. And it can be so hard when you have a bunch of infantry to notice stuff like that, but seeing how much damage this concentrated artillery fire is doing to his center core, that is something that if the melee engagement happens against these elite units, especially these guards, these line infantry are going to fold and they're going to rout insanely quickly. So nice job by Prussian softening up, but also nice job by Lol catching that. He's going to start spreading out, and it looks like we're kind of going to get settled in for a longer shootout here, which in that case, Prussian is going to have the advantage in artillery power, but Lol, again, having the advantage in skirmishers and in numbers. Okay, a push on the left flank of Prussian and on Lol. He's bringing 4-line infantry, and he's giving the hussars kind of some room to roam around the tree line. I like this. I like the 2-unit support here, especially since if he can somehow force these skirmishers to retreat, it's going to make it really easy for those hussars to kind of come in and do any sort of cleanup. And it looks to me like Prussian has decided to go with all of his cav on one flank, which is what a lot of people did pre-update. That was a huge thing to do. But it does leave you vulnerable for situations like this, because the only support you're going to be able to send is infantry, which is not going to be super quick. I hope he kind of complements it with a push up here as well. I think just pushing on this flank is going to be not enough. So definitely needs to get his center up quickly, secure his right flank so that he can make this concentrated attack and not have to worry about getting pushed on the other side and just making kind of a trade that doesn't work out for him. All right, skirmishers doing nice damage to the guards there, but here comes the big push by the Prussian cavalry, and it looks like the hussars, oh, okay, so I see the temptation here. He really wants to draw out these skirmishers, and you think to yourself, well, they're a weak unit, they fold the cavalry, but the terrain, I cannot overstate enough. No matter how good you think your cav are and how weak the infantry is, you never charge into wooded terrain unless they're like one tick of org left and they just need that final hit to break them. This will never be cost effective, because yes, you will eventually maybe break that skirmisher, but the org damage you're going to do to your cav and the health damage, and I mean, now the reinforcing guard are coming up, and this push is going to get kind of risky. Because these two guard, they'll probably be able to handle 1, 2, maybe 3 line infantry, and these line infantry will be able to push the skirmishers. So it looked like a good offensive from Lol, but Prussian doing a nice job and countering that quite quickly, though it is going to cause him to get weak on other sides. So Yeah, getting really spread out here. A huge swirling cavalry battle potentially going to be happening in this location, but we'll have to see. It's still kind of the early turn. The armies are getting settled. And okay, wow. Okay, so Prussian is going to be pushing on 2 flanks. And he's going to be pushing hard counterattack on the left with his guards. But it's not a very concentrated or well-organized attack, if I'm being honest. There's not really a full line here. So I don't know if these hussars are just trying to pin down these units so that these line infantry can come in. But I mean, Prussian's really put himself at bad potential for a flanking maneuver here, just because it's not moving up in a concentrated fashion. And that would be a really bad way to lose an early guard, possibly 2 early guards, because this guy has been taking some artillery fire and some musketry fire as well. Definitely want to pull back those skirmishers. They are expendable, but you don't just want to surrender them for nothing. And I'm really actually surprised that Prussian is trying to push on 2 flanks at the same time. Normally, I wouldn't recommend it unless you have overwhelming numbers, just because, I mean, it pulls away too much of your line and it creates too many gaps for the enemy to exploit. What is he pushing up with here? Just a couple of line, a couple of guard. His center is staying strong. Again, great terrain. Cavalry just kind of in the back, waiting to engage. Yeah, I mean, Law's going to have to do something here. He's getting pushed back on 2 areas. He's going to have to counterattack, and he's going to have to get some local victories, and it's going to have to be quick because, I mean, the victory bar is already well in favor of Black. I mean, 350 to 528 in terms of casualties is not bad, but 58 to 42 in victory points, that is not good, so. Okay, Prussian now going to retreat. I like that. Decides that that push was not well organized and it was ultimately probably going to fail. I guess, you know what? Maybe I have to eat my words a little bit here. These hussars are doing much better against these skirmishers than I would have thought. I guess I kind of assumed that Prussian was going to support these guys right away. But this engagement here is looking a little bit nasty. I can't tell if that guard's going to break first or not. Would love to see these skirmishers, like, you know, turn around and try to shoot this hussar. You want to save this guard. Guards are just a unit you cannot afford to lose until, like, the late game, you know, grind. But yeah, okay, so Prussian now going to be going back into his spaghetti line, decided to get aggressive, but I think he sees the numbers of yellow and is going to decide against it. But these artillery continuing to do good damage, a lot of infilade fire coming in, and 12-pounders doing what 12-pounders do, which is hitting very hard, especially at this range. Okay, retreat on the left. Oh, nice counterattack here on the left. Well, okay, so now we've lost both of our cavalry units on the left. And what did we get for that? We got 1 skirmisher for that. That's a really rough trade. And I guess the one bright spot is you've weakened 2 guard units. You've actually weakened 3 guard units. So this guy's pretty weak, this guy's pretty weak, this guy's pretty weak. But losing the cav, which you could have used to chase down skirmishers or make sure that those guards don't return, yeah, that's a big loss there. And Lol really needs to utilize his numbers here, or this flank is about to get ugly very quickly. But let's take a look at the right. The center has been staying very, very static, and the right is looking to be pretty static as well. So most of the action is happening on the left flank. Another concentrated push here by Prussian on the right. He just kind of keeps probing in here, which I guess is okay. I'm not really sure what the point of it is. Maybe he's just trying to, I think he might just be trying to bait Lol into making some sort of big push, and just kind of kamikazing into all of these elite units and cannons, which in that case Prussian would win, because, I mean, yellow would be so damaged by the time they got there, and then they would face guards, and it just wouldn't be very good. But nice job by Lol. He does not seem to be taking the bait here, and he's just continuing to fight this long, drag-out fight here in the center. But in terms of losses, I mean, again, the power bar still, oh, now it's 60 to 40, and 606 to 932 in terms of casualties. So, yeah, Lol needs a victory somewhere, man. Where's it going to be? Okay. Guard unit might finally be driven off, but now 2 more guard pressing up the center. No, that's 3 guard and a light infantry. And why are none of these line infantry engaging? Okay, so these two have been shooting at this gun. Not bad. Yeah, we need to we need to pour more infantry in here. We got to send this guy. We got to get the reserves in there. We need a victory here. I mean, taking out these 3 guard, that would be a huge win. And so I'm hoping he pulls more resources that way. But again, Prussian, he's kind of just trying to distract on this right, trying to pin down as many units as possible. And the fact that these cavalry have just been pinned down all game, it's made both these armies pretty immobile. Whereas, you know, I feel like if one of them tried to bring infantry support, and maybe that's what Prussian is doing, he's going to bring up his infantry so that he can have them close by for the big cavalry engagement. I'm not sure, but they're kind of content playing cat and mouse here so far. Oh man, those guards are just brutal. Look at, oh god, look at that flank charge. Just destroyed that line infantry. Yeah, and the losses are really starting to pile up. Now, granted, most of these units are going to come back. We do see 1 Hussar coming back as well, because, again, Prussia has no cavalry support here, and he did lose a 6-pounder. Losing an artillery unit, that is rough, and his 12-pounder is taking damage as well. I don't know, maybe the hope is that these guards can overextend, and then they'll be surrounded and, you know, hit by canister, and that'll be the victory that Lol needs. He's continuing to hammer at the infantry units. Right flank, again, staying very, very still. The guards now having to pull a retreat. Skirmishers finally being pulled out of the woods. Nope, they're just going to stay there and hold that position. All right flank, staying very, very still. Okay, yeah, this is the crux of the battle right here. And I think what might be the thing that turns it for Lol is that this 12-pounder's here too. Oh man, I can't tell who's going to win this. You have a pretty strong guard, a fairly weakened guard, light infantry versus 4 pretty healthy line, 10, potentially 5. I mean, units returning. Man, hopefully this 8-pounder just takes out this guard, or this line, keeps that guy on the run. Oh man, this is a close one. I mean, it's lurching in Prussian's favor, but it doesn't feel as lopsided as the bar's telling me. Okay, Hussar, not sure what that Hussar was trying to do. I don't know if he was just trying to slow down those units. But having that 1 Hussar actually to run down units is going to be very critical. And I would really love to see Prussian even just pulling 1 Dragoon over to this flank. It's not really going to affect this side very much, but it could have a huge difference in this engagement right here. But he's not going to do it from what it seems. Okay, general retreat of the cavalry, followed by now it's a full advance to the left flank. I don't agree with that either, because now you're going to be exposing your right flank to the entirety of Lol's cavalry. And if Lol continues to push and he is able to take some of these woods, your cavalry over here aren't really going to have much of an impact. So, I mean, I liked the idea of him peeling off 1, maybe 2, but peeling off his entire cavalry force, to me, that feels like an overcommit. But he's going to do it. Lol responding by splitting up his own cavalry. I like that move there. So he's going to have a few skirmishers and cavalry to hold down the right, bringing most of his dragoons to the left. I think that's actually a really, really good move in response to this. But I like that he's not just pulling off and mirroring his opponent by using his entire cavalry. And this Prussian left flank, oh, nice charge there by this guard, but I think he's gonna, is he gonna lose that guard at the cost of a skirmisher? That'll actually be a terrible trade. That Dragoon needs to charge that guard like now. And then that line infantry needs to, so what I would do here is I would go boom, and then I would go boom, and I would maybe even, what would I do next? Probably send my cavalry into this gap, so that I can finish this fight here. Yeah, I don't know. It's a tricky one. It's a tricky one because he's got a lot of infantry that he's got to regroup. But he's getting a really nice victory over here. And I think it's just because this Prussian infantry has been holding out for so long, but they've gotten so little support from the middle and the right that the attrition is just kind of finally starting to take its effect. Okay, so, oh god, this is gonna get really fast, really quick. So, Prussian cavalry moving in. It looks like they're gonna split off, a couple of units going here to support, and then most of the cavalry is gonna go up the gut, maybe try to break through and get at this battery up here. But I mean, there's dotted units that they're gonna have to try to work their way past, and meanwhile, Lal probably just gonna be sending his dragoons here. I think going all the way around is going to be too much, and it's not going to be quick enough. So, okay, good catch there by Lal. Okay, this is huge. This is huge. The fact that he caught 3 of these cavalry units with 2 line infantry, this is going to give his men enough time to A, protect the cannon, and B, send all of these dragoons in here to countercharge, which is just going to be a very, very nice cleanup. And yep, that's exactly what's going to happen. Look at that. Look at that. That was a huge, huge break for yellow. The fact that those Prussian cavalry did not get through, that's probably going to be what wins him the battle here, because now these dragoons, there is nothing to stop them from hitting here, fanning out, hitting here, threatening this gun, and the Prussian army has been, I mean, essentially cut in half here, right? So we see this is the key to, you know, keeping your army in unison. We see a yellow army, which is still pretty much one body, right? There are gaps, there are enemies in the rear, but it's still one cohesive force. Whereas if we look at the Prussian army, it's now 2 smaller forces, which you could almost argue it's 3 smaller forces here. And that lack of cohesion, I think, might be what loses Prussian this game. And the power bar is saying the same. It's already climbed back up to 49.51, and now the casualties are really starting to lean towards the Prussian side, actually. So nice comeback by Lal. And yeah, he's going to clean up even more infantry. These dragoons are being absolutely relentless. And I mean, the only thing that Prussian can do here is really just try to keep a line. He's even starting to box up a little bit. But these 3 artillery units are going to continue to pound. And yeah, a lot of returning line infantry. And this is what I said earlier about not having any cavalry over here to pursue and make sure that these guys didn't return. That really bit the black player in the butt. And I mean, what did he get out of that? I mean, yeah, he had a stable right flank, but if you're using all of your cavalry basically just as a wall, you're not really using them for what they're for, which is to be mobile, which is to fill in gaps and to make sure that the enemy cannot return. Okay, so looking to be a wrap-up on the left flank. Oh, goodness. Okay, this is very Prussian. This is very apt. So it looks like he's going to go for just one Hail Mary charge here. I mean, he does still have a guard mixed in. These infantry are pretty healthy, but just no cavalry support. And as soon as they get stuck in, I assume that these hussars and dragoons are going to return. And I mean, these guys are pretty much all cleaned up, and it's not going to take very long for them to switch over and complete the net. So all these guys have to do is really just hold for maybe 3-4 more turns, and the game will be yellows. Probably going to lose his guns, but at this point in the battle, that's not a big deal. Yeah, I mean, they were already pretty wounded. That's another thing, is know when to sacrifice your artillery. I see a lot of players where they're so focused on defending their guns till the very end that they put themselves in engagements over an artillery piece that they really didn't need to take, especially at the end of battles where, you know, the artillery still very important, but you can afford to lose a piece or two if it means that you're going to win a more major victory in another spot of the battlefield. So don't be afraid to sacrifice artillery towards the end if it means that ultimate victory is still going to be yours. All right, valiant Prussian charge here. I mean, he's going to break the far wing, but the incoming reinforcements are going to see to that very quickly. Yeah, cavalry just once again proving how effective they are. Dragoons holding their weight, and the line infantry of of gold also holding its weight fairly well. All right. Prussia fighting to the bitter end. I love that. I respect that. But I think that's going to be the game once this one skirmisher dies. We'll have to see. Is that it? Yeah, that's it. Okay. So, really, really good game. Back and forth. I thought LOL was going to lose that for the first half. But just the reinforcements and the lack of cavalry on the flank it was needed, really, really, I mean, that disadvantaged Prussia in a huge way. So my advice for Prussian, even though both of these guys, again, higher elo than me, so big pinch of salt here. The thing I'd say for Prussian is be more mobile with your cavalry. Don't just stand them off with the other person's cavalry and use them as a shield. Because even 1 or 2 units on a flank can make such a big difference. They can make sure that that line infantry or that artillery piece does not come back at a time where you don't need them to come back. And then for LOL, I would just say, he played that pretty well. I would say more of it was due to Prussian's lack of decisiveness than anything LOL specifically did. But when those cavalry all came from the opposite flank, he handled it very well. He intercepted with his infantry. He got his own dragoons in. He got some really good rear charges. So yeah, really, really, really well done. And again, one more time, guys, please let me know. We have gold bringing in just the line infantry spam, and we have black going with a more elite, smaller army. And from what I've been observing, it seems to me like the line infantry spam is the stronger build right now. And I don't know if that just means that elite infantry or light infantry need to be changed or tweaked. Maybe I'm dog whistling. Let me know in the comments below. But guys, until next time, have a great day. Have a great life. See you later.